Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This time on the Sweetwater Minute, we are taking a sneak preview look at the Avid S6, a brand new control surface designed to really let you get hands-on with your Pro Tools sessions. The S6 is loaded with features, but it really comes down to three overriding concerns with this control surface, and that's modularity, visuals, and ergonomics. Let's take a look at each of those three aspects. The S6 is completely modular, so you can customize it exactly how you want it for your studio situation. That means you can decide on the number of faders you want to have, how many knobs you want to have per channel strip, whether you want to have displays or not, how you want it configured as far as how it's laid out. The whole thing can be set up exactly to your satisfaction. What we're looking at today is an S6 M40 with 16 faders. Now this breaks down into a number of modules. First of all, we have the fader modules. Each fader module contains 8 faders, as well as controls for automation, a track strip display, a variety of other things that you can accomplish from there, along with meters that run right alongside the faders for each of the channels. Next up, we have 2 process modules. Now the process modules are where we select the functions that are happening on the screens or within Pro Tools. So we can select dynamics, we can select EQ, we can select our input source, so we can work with a variety of those things there. We also have a control that defaults to being the pan, but we can assign that to any other function we like as well. Near the top of the console, we have knob modules. The knob module provides 4 knobs that can be assigned to control functions for each channel strip, for things like EQ, dynamics, processing, those sorts of things. There also are buttons for selecting among the different functions that are available there. Now we have a 4-deep frame here, which allows us to have a fader module, a process module, a knob module, and then a display module. That's the configuration that we have here. We could, of course, customize that differently if we like. There also is a 5-deep frame available. That would allow us to, for example, have a second set of knob modules in this, so that we could have a total of 9 knobs per channel strip. We could also do a second set of process modules. We could add more faders. However we want to configure this, it's very open-ended, very configurable, very customizable. At the top of the frame, we have the display module, which brings us to part of the visual aspect of the S6. Now on this module, you can see everything that's happening within your Pro Tools session from an audio waveform standpoint, from a metering standpoint, and also from a function standpoint. Let's look at some of the ways you can display those different aspects of your session. So right now we're looking at sort of a comprehensive view. We have waveforms that are scrolling, and we can fast forward and rewind through those. It's sort of a virtual track sheet right there on the screen. We also have a meter for each channel in Pro Tools, and toward the bottom we have functions. We can have an EQ curve there, we can display our pan settings there, so a lot of different things can be displayed there. But this isn't the only display mode that we have. We can also look at just the meters to see the channel strips that are within Pro Tools, the audio signals that are coming from there. We can also add large waveforms alongside those. So we get a larger display that shows us where we're at within our session, as well as what's happening with audio signals. We can choose a smaller display that gives us the meters separate from the waveforms, which lets us see a little bit more clearly what's going on if you're used to looking at those in a split format. And we can also look at the meters along with the functions. So here we have just the audio meters as well as the functions, which again would be things like the EQ curve or pan settings. And then we can look at that comprehensive display that shows us all 3 of those, the waveform, the meter, and the functions all at once on the screen. We have 2 more modules in our S6. We have the master automation module, which is here at the bottom, and this gives us access to all of those functions as well as transport controls. We have, when we focus on a particular channel, we have the fader for that right here. You can see when I move this, it's actually affecting that channel over there. We have controls for the different assignments that are going on in the automation as well as the transport. Above the Master Automation module, we have the Master Touch module. Now there are 2 sections to this. Down here we have soft keys that are assigned to frequently accessed functions, and above that we have the touch screen. Now this is really cool because it gives you hands-on control over what you're doing with the board. Here we're looking at a track matrix. This shows us all of our tracks. We've got 144 tracks in this session. We can scroll through those. We can quickly jump to whatever track we want to look at. Very easy to get around. Find the ones that are, here's our drum tracks. We'll look at that alongside the strings. We've got VCAs here, we've got audio tracks. So all of that can be quickly selected right here. But the really cool thing is we can break this down by color. So if you've organized your session by colors, for example, if you colored your drums one way, your guitars are a different color, your vocals are another color, we can organize our tracks on the screen and access them very quickly. Let me show you what I mean. We'll hit this button here, choose display breaks on track color, hit that again. Now we've organized our tracks by the different colors that we've assigned to each type. So for example, here we have our percussion. Here's our drums, here's our strings. We can scroll through, here's our brass tracks, and we can instantly jump to those. Now whether we're looking at the track matrix where we have all of our tracks displayed, or we're breaking them down by color, when you touch a particular track, it brings the focus to it right down here into the center of the console, so you can easily access it for whatever changes you want to make. Now with the multi-touch touchscreen, we can also control functions like solo, mute, and a variety of others. Let me show you how that works. We simply click select, And then say we choose the solo button here. If we touch on a track, it's instantly soloed. We can choose another. And in fact, because this is multi-touch, we can hold one track and solo a range of others as well. Now to clear that, simply hit the clear button. Now we can also record enable tracks from here. We can set input monitoring. Of course, we showed you solo already, and you can mute tracks from here as well. So that's a very quick way to stay focused on what's happening on the screen without having to look at Pro Tools on the computer screen. Now the multi-touch module really takes us past the visual aspect of the S6 and brings us into the ergonomics part as well. So let me show you what I mean. If we touch big drums here, which calls up our drum track, we'll hit home. And now we're seeing a variety of things related to that track right here on this screen. First of all, at the top, we have a universe display that shows us all the meters. So if you're working in Pro Tools, you can't figure out where a signal is coming from, you're getting feedback from a microphone, whatever it might be during recording, you can see where those signals are at right across the top here. Now we also have banks of meters that are showing us levels from Pro Tools here. But below that we have our track display. We've got our plugins that are active here as well as the parameters, and we can access those instantly. So for example, if we want to work with EQ, we can touch the EQ. That brings us to the purple colored knobs. Everything is color coded within the S6. And now if we drag down, we can see the curve and we can access that instantly right here with the knobs that are on the side of the screen. Now we can access any of the other plugins. We could open up the Dynamics module, we could look at the sends, we could look at the inserts, or we can look at pan. And pan allows us to do that multi-touch again, where we can work with the two pucks to exactly pan the signal where we want it within the stereo field, or if we're working in surround in a multi-channel field. The visual aspect of the S6 doesn't end with the display modules and the master touch module. We also have OLEDs on each channel strip. Now the OLEDs allow us to display a lot more information than a standard LCD or LED display would. So for example, here on the track scribble strip, if you will, we've got the track name, but we also can see that we're the automation mode that we're in. We can see different parameter values there. If you go up to the OLED by the pan control, we can see not only the parameter, but also the value that we're displaying. And that's the same case up here on the knob module. With the OLED that's there, you can display not only the parameter type, but also the value for that parameter. So it gives you a lot of visual feedback of what's happening in your session. The whole thing is really designed to allow you to operate Pro Tools from a tracking standpoint without having to look at the computer screen. And that's a great thing. You can do all your mixing right here from the surface. And then when you're editing, you can move over to the screen to do what the screen is great at, which is displaying those intricate editing moves. There's so much more to talk about with the Avid S6. This is an incredibly comprehensive control surface. I've had a blast getting a chance to check it out, see how it works with Pro Tools, and really get your hands on what's happening. Really a cool piece of gear. I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.